Always gonna, I'm usually firing flow the high students because it's like starting like up there, really starts to get weird.
I did. I did some plans.
You don't, your. So you have like yours at it? And I'll see.
Yeah.
One scribe here.
I don't have a lot of sensitive for doing exactly, but. Okay, just say that because
Is there
the last time, yeah, but I thought.
That's around like a lot of people.
I just said you.
It's very short, you don't have to say much.
Fair enough. That's what I do.
Yeah, I think
like if I'm trying to do something and stuff, but like Patrick was advertising that it will be like harmful for the student market, everything, so planning stages or working alerts can be like increased communication. Also, who's gonna they're going through the auction. Like Patrick is still gonna be on board, but he's not gonna.
Like I think I can actually like many things and seem like it's funny because I feel like I have like in my brain. But I think about a lot of things when I start
I'll be there until like.
Yeah, like I thought, but
I called this meeting to order at 4:05 PM. Lydia here. Isaac. Is that?
Here.
Hannah here?
Is the microphone?
Yeah. The captain. Okay. Hannah here. Caitlin here. Askia here. Joel.
He's in here
He's
5
already-
minutes.
Okay. Javier.
Here.
Ariana. Here. Ume. Here. Ian.
Here.
Megan.
Excuse.
Tammy. Here. Benjamin.
Here.
Redinchi.
Here.
Leandre.
Here.
Christopher.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Christopher Blue.
Here.
Aaron.
Here.
Ria. Adrian. Here. Donna. Jason.
Here.
Nicholas.
Here.
Kate. Here. Matthew. Here. Daniela. And Jennifer. Jennifer. Moving on to the approval of minutes. Something that I'm gonna talk more about in Senate announcements, and also I'm gonna, or items today, is about like how much participation you have in the Senate meetings. And one thing, for all motions, I would like each senator to raise a hand and only speak until after they're called. So something that will also cover in the scholarship code here is contribution in meetings. So this also includes who makes motions for minutes. So I'm also looking for, if you're not talking a lot in meetings, for you to like participating more, and this can be one of the ways you do so. So would anyone, okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from November 1st, 2023? Caitlin.
I motion to remove the minutes for November 1st.
It's like a,
No, you have to speak after. So Caitlin. Moved by Caitlin Q, seconded by Kate Wang. Are there any objections? Moving on to public comments. Are there any public comments? Moving on to advisor announcements. Dennis, would you like to start?
It looks like Hunter go, she's kind of, sorry, or anyone else.
Hanju, Maritza, or Dana, would you have any announcements?
I don't have any. I'm sorry I'm not there today in person. My daughter has a band concert tonight, so I'm actually going to be listening to the Senate and participating over the phone. Okay.
Dana, do you have anything?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. I have a couple of things. One, I have to leave in like 10 minutes for another meeting, unfortunately. I do just want to make sure folks know a few things about homecoming. I know like that's probably going to be a topic, but as one of the staff that's really trying to get things moving, I'll be dropping in the chat the flyer, the digital version of the flyer that's been printed, and then the link for the RSVP form, which if any of you plan to attend homecoming and also to share out, you know, this would be the RSVP link. It's going to help us a great deal to make check-in a lot smoother. So please make sure to RSVP. We're not going to necessarily turn people away, but it'll just be helpful if anyone who plans to come for one or both of the events, RSVPs, and then I'm also going to put the volunteer form in the chat. Especially if you're part of DSG programs or DSG marketing, I know those two teams have done a lot. So if you're planning to do day of support, anyone in this group is planning to do day of support, I'm going to put the links in the chat. We'll try to get them emailed out as well. Last thing, if you can please help us keep track of the college life A-frames, please make sure you're checking them out from College Life and filling out the equipment checkout form to help us keep track, because we got a lot of things going on. I understand, you know, some are being used at the same time. So just make sure you're doing that, and make sure it should just be marketing that is doing that on behalf of DSG, just to help things run a little more smoothly. So if your event is looking to have an A-frame, either for the event itself or for promotion, please work with marketing, and then work with marketing to use your DSG A-frames as well. That's all for me.
And then I had a couple things, I guess. One, for those of you that you know, aren't on finance, the budget application were due this past Monday for the 24-25 HG or the 24-25 fiscal year for HGA. So I'm processing those, and they will be posted online, and the finance committee will be reviewing them and doing all that. Next quarter, they will meet to deliberate the allocations, and then they will go to the Senate in February, and so we'll probably have 2 or 3 really long meetings in February to go over the budget and approve the allocations for next fiscal year. Uh, so that's coming up. If anyone has any questions about budget, let me know. One thing we might want to discuss at an exec meeting, if not this week, but in the future, is the next year's the DASG Senate and committee operations account, how much should consider putting in it. And then as far as technology, so please make sure everybody, and this applies to everyone, not just the officers, that you are checking your personal FHDA email account. So this could be an employee email account or your student email account if you have one of those. If you don't, I think you all already have one now because I double checked. That's going to be used more and more for different things. You may even be getting things from your shared governance committees, like, you know, that when they share files through OneDrive and things like that. So that'll come through the FHDA, you know, Microsoft account or things of that nature. For the officers, some things will be changing with your officer accounts, the way you access them and such, and I'll go over that more in detail later, but for now, nothing's changing.
Thank you. Moving on to Senate announcement. Chris?
Yeah, just to kind of rephrase what Maritza said too, starting today, only DASG marketing senators will be able to use the A-frames. However, other committees can request it, but they do have to let us know ahead of time.
Asia?
Yeah, just also reiterating what Maritza said, we have our first ever Dianza homecoming happening November 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. in the conference rooms, and then on Saturday there's a cruising social. So we highly encourage you all to RSVP and come out to that. And also, if you're interested in volunteering, we also will always need and appreciate the help doing setup and cleanup and all the really fun stuff throughout the event. And yeah, definitely just help us spread the word. Obviously the event is like 2 weeks, and so we just really want to make sure we have students at the event. So just help us spread the word as much as possible. If you can present to your classes, that would also be appreciated. So yeah. Ian?
Yeah, so next week there will be the mini flea market on Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I sent it out in the Discord. We need people to help out for like setup, clean up, and all that fun stuff, right? Also for performances. It just so happens at that particular time, Jana and I aren't able to kind of be there. So some could kind of be there to look over that. That would also be great. So yeah, link is in the Discord.
Couple announcements. So first, the public forums for the 2 final candidates for the vice president of instruction is next week. So basically, since the current vice president of instruction, Christina, is retiring, they're trying to find a new vice president of instruction, and there will be an open house Q&A session next week, Monday and Tuesday, from 2:30 to 3:30. And just a brief introduction of the 2 finalists for that position. So the first one would be James Todd, who is the current assistant superintendent and vice president of student service at Sierra College, and Thomas Ray, who is the interim associate vice president of instruction at DeAnza. So those two are the final candidates for the vice president of instruction. So if you guys are interested, please share the word and attend if you're available. You can ask about questions about what I guess, I don't know, what they want to do or something. And also, the election info sessions is happening. I've seen a lot of more signups, so thank you for that. And then scholarship. So after, if you guys are late next time to Senate meeting, please let me know. Just I can track the time. And then yeah, that's it for now. Thanks.
I do have a quick, so Thomas Ray is from Deanza College. Where was the other candidate from?
Sierra College.
Sierra. Sierra.
I think it's for second. Next week.
It's next to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so, they're gonna be the vice, either of them, either or will be the vice president of instruction, which is a very important position. So if you guys are interested, on giving your inputs, do go there. Yeah, thanks.
Also, what Isaac said about, or if you're late to the next Senate meeting or this one, if you miss roll call, please go to Isaac, like, once you enter the Senate meeting, so he can record the time you entered. Because which we'll review over in our meeting today, but in the student leadership code, if you're more than 15 minutes late to a Senate meeting, you will get subtracted a bit in the stipend. Are there any other announcements? I have two announcements. The first is please continue to do your in-person office hours. They're located in the cafeteria in table 5. And for the rest of the quarter and possibly into winter and spring, they will stay located upstairs. So please be sure to do the correct location for that. And secondly, the class modality survey that we did with the college is ongoing, so please fill that in if you haven't already. Are there any other announcements? Moving on to student trustee announcements.
Yeah, the Board of Trustees met this past Monday. The ATC is currently going through some emergency renovations, and they will continue as long as there is a 4/5 majority vote on a monthly basis at the board. And Patrick Aarons will no longer sit as the president of the Board of Trustees beginning in the January 2024 monthly meeting.
Moving on to external shared governance reports. Ian?
So RAP met this past Tuesday and we just finalized the CAS feedback forms. We went through the personnel prioritization process, kind of just running through what the timeline is gonna look like. And we had a quick update on the dining services RFP. And apparently Foothills Food sucked. Someone said there's no comparison, Michelle Improvement seconded it, go the other bibimbap and teriyaki chicken. Kate seconded the bibimbap only though. And then we introduced ideas on the program consultation committee. Yes.
Which external? Which?
RAP.
Oh, right. Well, dining services may be changing next year.
Chris Lee?
Technology committee met on November 2nd, Thursday. They discussed the new work updates and creating new content for the website. And all students now have access to Microsoft 365. They also did public technology plan, and ETS is working on keyboard navigation for micro users, and they're also waiting for one on-site registration.
David?
So first, Measure G Task Force met last Friday, and we received the preliminary budget for the task force recommendation. And basically, if the recommendation were to build under the LPAS schedule, the recommendation that the task force had given previously would have a $17 million deficit. Since that the new building of the medical center would likely delay construction and therefore increase the budget about 15 to 20%. And Vice Chancellor Chu said that it would be quote unquote too dangerous to build 2 buildings at once, and the arts complex can only start construction at the earliest 2027 and finish at 2032. So that's about 10 years from now. Furthermore, the district originally allocated budget of $100 million might not be fully given to DeAnza. Trustee Aarons said was attending the meeting and said that there was a lot of pressure if the original budget given to DeAnza were kept for DeAnza and its project. So basically, we don't have enough money, and the money that we think we might have might not actually be ours, basically. So if you have any inputs that you feel like you wanna mention it about, especially, I would really recommend you to talk, during the board meeting happening in December, which is, Javier, can you remind me what the time?
Will be on December 11th at 6 p.m.
Would be December 11th at 6 p.m., which I would think that they would discuss about refugee meetings. I know that it's before finals, so that's not very good, but still, if you guys feel strongly about it, please go to the board meeting and discuss, talk about your opinions. Other than that, Lily and I also met with Lloyd this Monday, and we basically talked about refugee and its potential impact. That's it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, and I also met with Thomas Ray like yesterday, and we discussed some like transferability and how to make the articulation better and more accessible.
Are there any other shared governance reports? I have one from Academic Senate on Monday, November 6th. They covered bookstore concerns, including like the OER availability on the website, as well as updates on the grading interface and as well as priority registration for students with children, which is group for this quarter. They also discussed the fall plenary resolutions of interest and the upcoming ASCCC fall meeting, as well as training and support for RSI, which is regular substantive interaction online teaching. They're currently developing a model, including discussion from current proposal from Foothill. And some concerns that were brought up were engagement with students, as well as other elements of online teaching and preparation for professors who are teaching online. And lastly, they also reviewed board policies, including the student code of conduct. For Academic Senate, if anyone is available for Mondays 2:30 to 4:30, please let me know because we desperately need someone. It's a weekly meeting, high flex in the MLC and also through Zoom. So please let me know if you're available. Moving on to internal DASG committee reports. Caitlin?
Marketing posted flyers for elections, reels should be sent out for HOCO tonight for people from the HOCO team. Outside displays are in progress of being updated, video and content edit should be out soon.
Is that?
Finance met this Monday, November 6th. We approved more interns. As what Dennis mentioned, the budget forms are closed. So that's like for the official budget deliberations from 41 to 46. We assigned senator, so we're still assigning senators programs to reach out to emails. So hopefully by this week we can send out emails already. And then we can just like wait back from the programs. So just like a short rundown on how budget deliberations kind of works is like we already sent out these forms. Programs that want money, like fill it in and give it to us, and it just closed. So now we're gonna be in the process of reviewing them. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna reach out to these programs, interview them as well. And then based on the interview based on the interview and maybe the forms, we'll rank the order in which they're gonna go when we actually do budget deliberations. And so that should be it for fall. And then winter we actually deliberate on the budget. So yeah, that's the process. If there are any questions, you can ask me. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
Administration met November 6th, and we talked about the election info session. By the way, we had 3 already this week and 5 more to go this quarter. We have some turnout, not a lot, but it's fall, so you know, interest is still gauging. We talked about SSCCC, and we discussed any needed bylaws and election code changes.
Asia?
So the programs committee met yesterday and we talked about the committee codes and we ended up tabling them again just because we found out Adrian shared that they met with Dennis and, it was discussed that it is possible to bring back the environmental sustainability committee, so, that would also involve like doing a little bit of like restructuring of just like the adding ES basically, and then also for the codes in that case, then it would mean that we're just going back to the programs and its code and the environmental sustainability codes, so we're hopefully, if that's something we're doing, we're hopefully trying to have it happen before elections start. So that it can be properly implemented for next year, and we tabled our codes because if this is the case, then that means our codes won't be changed technically, so we'll just have to delete all the additional information from ES. And then we also had some environmental sustainability related updates, that there are gently used bikes from a Google Fleet that are being offered to the college, and so we can maybe get like 30 to 50 potentially that would replace the old bikes, which are a little bit worn out-ish. And we also discussed maybe having like a giveaway type thing to like students, just a few bikes if they did 6 hours of volunteer work. And then the flowers are also being planted soon. And then Dana also shared that 2 bikes have been delivered to the office and they're being sold at a discounted price. And then we also had monthly updates, which again, just like November 17th, 6 to 9 p.m. Spread the word, volunteer, make sure to come, RSVP. I'll send the links in the Senate chat. And then we also just started talking about our de-stress event, which is going to be the week before time. Anna?
So as I met today, and we discussed fall resource fair feedback form that we sent to resources after the resource fair. And then we analyzed the demographic form that we had our survey out, and then spoke about ways to increase accessibility and update the student concerns form that was made last year by student service student feedback. Is there anything from ICC?
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm gonna oh, and the thing about ICT is all the girl on or like how do you think isn't yet I mean
Moving on to consent calendar. Are some of the items repeated? Because I think the interns were confirmed once, if I'm not mistaken. Like these.
Well, but which ones are supposed to have this?
I think everything but the finance interns, because we approved these last meeting. If I'm not Is it? It wasn't in last meeting.
I can see. You know, it doesn't look like it's copied on last week, it's just formatting of.
Okay, so I think we can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Move. Please raise your hand.
Renji,
I move to approve the consent.
I second.
You didn't, you always, brother.
anyone else? Jenna,
I second.
moved by Renji, seconded by Jenna. Are there any objections? Seeing no objections, the consent calendar is approved. We are going to table this first item because Ume is going to present next week. So can I get a motion to table this item to next week? Ariana,
I will table this item or do I have to defer?
you can say business item one.
And move to table business item 1.
Ben,
I second.
moved by Ariana, seconded by Ben. Are there any objections? Seeing no objections, we'll be moving on to this item, which is the refurbished bikes for the DASG bike program. This item will be presented by Adrian, and it's to inform the Senate of the potential purchase of 50 refurbished bikes to replace the current regular bikes for the DASG bike program, and to also show the 2 types of bikes to the Senate.
And so, me, Dennis, and you, we met on Friday, to like give out, retiring the bikes that we have now in the bike program, because they are really old, and not really as functional. So, we're being offered like a discounted price. So that like we'll give them our bikes that we have now, and they'll take them and refurbish them and like, give them for charity, and then we'll get, new bikes at a discounted price. It was like 30 to 50, right?
So 50 is what we asked about.
Yeah.
They have more than that, we can.
Yeah, so
We can
we will
request.
be expanding our bike program. It's like there would be smaller ones and then there'd be larger ones.
And we have, they brought us examples of the 2 bikes that they are talking about. Well, yeah, so we met with 2 reps from Community Cycles and Rotary. So there's 2 types of bikes, 2 sizes. These used to be part of the Google bike fleet. And they used refurbished and they were in pretty good condition to begin with. Apparently some were, a year or so old, some were only a few months old when they were donated. So there's 2 types of bikes and then there's 2 sizes. We currently, I think, have 43 regular bikes. And they all need a lot of work, and so we'll be putting in a finance request for funding to get these instead. It's actually the more economical option than trying to refurbish what we currently have, and they'll be available much more quickly. And so we just wanted to let the Senate know, and then we're also working with Community Cycles and the Rotary Club on some other possibilities as well. They're also talking about, because of this donation, they were donated over 250 from Google as well, and then they have a whole bunch of other donated bikes too. They're talking about doing like a this discounted bike sale for students, maybe doing an event on campus with ES. And possibly some other possibilities, bike maintenance workshops and things like that for students.
And there was the other thing, like, was it like, the possibility of like a limited number of bikes, to be available to the student body, like without them paying, just being volunteer. But like a limited number.
we don't have a whole ton of those, but
Yeah,
be nice
apparently
to
that's
have
a
some.
program they already have, so they want to extend it to us. But they work with a number of charities, and so they do about, did you say something like 5 a year or 5 a year
Yeah.
or something like that?
it's like a limited number, but it'd still be some, like we have a couple that we would like auction off to the student body. Or like sell to the student body, so it'd be like outside of the bike program, they would like own the bikes. But not everybody can really afford that, so we would just like, let's make there be an option to still get your own bike, but to do it through volunteer. Yeah,
Question, what might be the approximate cost of the bike?
The refurbished bikes that will replace our current ones, I think they are about 200. Which is substantially less than what we usually make for new bikes when we've done them in the past. It's about 3 to 350 each is what we've done in the past.
yeah. Please. Finance, please approve this so that our bike program can be functional. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you, Adrian. The next item will be the DASG Student Leader Scholarships. So we'll be reviewing and discussing the changes to the student leadership scholarship and reviewing the.
Oh, the link's not there. Oops. Should I just going back to for the attachment, so I'll share it then, just give me a sec. We'll add the links to the website. Yeah, those should have been under. So as we've been working on the, the new DHG Student Leader Scholarship. We've been, ironing out some details. The scholarship code was initially based on, the ASFC, the Foothill Student Leader Scholarship Code. And we just made some revisions last year, pass it. And we knew at the time that we would be working on it. This would be the first year we would have it. And so, we'd be refining it as we go and making improvements. We also have an updated version of funding distribution sheet that we showed you a few weeks ago. Oh, is that it? Yeah, that's the new one. Okay, good. Go out there. Okay, so for the code, it's information discussion this week and will be action next week. So one thing we did was, because it was unclear, we weren't sure what exactly is a special project, what exactly is a community project, and so on. So we just merged these two together, completion of special projects and community projects. So, whatever projects that you decide you're going to be doing that quarter, completing it is part of your scholarship for that quarter. Quarterly goals submitted, just a correction of language there. And then we also, in parentheses, just defined what that might be. It could be personal growth goals as a senator or student or person. It could be a program or event you want to implement and, achieving that goal, implementing that thing. And then, so instead of just saying attendance and participation here, and timely communication also, we decided to instead put in a more general one that just is overall demonstrate professional standards. So that would be include timely communication, engagement in meetings, being punctual, maintaining a positive attitude, etc. I think that was it for the, oh no, there was also, so for the quarterly goals, we also then put in when those would normally be submitted. So for fall quarter, you all get a pass. You've all submitted your goals for this quarter. You'll get full funding for this quarter. But starting next quarter, quarterly goals must be submitted by 4 p.m. The second Friday of each quarter. And then again, the applications that part's not new. They'll be submitted by 4 p.m. the 10th Friday of each quarter. And yeah, that's it for the code. Do you have the other ones too? All right, so this is an updated version of what we showed you a few weeks ago. This one is mostly final. We'll just need to update the professional standards section a bit. But you can kind of see the dollar amounts for all the positions now. So for president, you can see, general meeting attendance, training attendance, shared governance attendance, and so on. Some of these we know are different, like shared governance at least. Some shared governance meets every week, some meets every other week, some meet just once a month, some meet just once a quarter. So this will just be divided up based on whatever shared governance you're on. So, we're not able to say, $925 each. So it'll just depend on what your shared governance is. If you attend all of it during the quarter, you get the full amount. If you attend some portion of the meetings, then you get whatever portion taken off. If you miss 1 out of 9, then you get 8/9 or what you would normally get.
On Zoom.
Oh, it's not on Zoom?
I think it's showing the wrong window.
Oh. Can I see that? Okay. All right, so for those of you on Zoom, again, this is a revised version of what was presented a few weeks ago. Numbers are almost final. We just need to update or figure out what the demonstrated professional standing will mean. So for the president and the officers, they have a chairing committee meeting section. For senators, that's not applicable, but everything else pretty much applies to all positions. And we tried to make it roughly equivalent percentage-wise for all the different positions, based on the importance of that task for that position. But you can see that Senate meetings are about 28% for president, 27% for VP. It's 30% for senators. Some of it you can quite get to match up 100%, but they're close. And you can see everything adds up to the total dollar amount for that position. $800 president, $500 for executive officers, and $300 for senators. And again, those are the current amounts. And we do have a couple little notes. I think those are updated from when we presented this before. So excused absences with advance notice will receive a 50% deduction per meeting. If you miss up to 15 minutes of a DSG Senate meeting, you will have a 50% reduction. If you miss more than 15 minutes of a DSG Senate meeting, you'll get a 100% reduction. So that could be arriving late or leaving early or anything. And then for shared governance, you must attend at least 75% of the shared governance meeting. Otherwise, 25% will be deducted. Okay. Any questions about the code or the distribution? Adrian?
So is there any way that we can, so I understand like why there's like a deduction for excused absences, like to encourage people to come. But I feel like if we are going to deduct the pay for it, it encourages people to come when they are sick. Like, I feel like there should be at least 1 or 2 sick days that it's like you can like, have the quarter without having it. Because otherwise people have monetary motivation to come when they're sick. And that's kind of a health problem for everyone.
Okay, we'll make a note of that in the minutes, that maybe we should have one excused absence for illness free. And we'll consider that, it's not a bad idea. Yeah.
On the same note, wouldn't it be better if there's a way to like, let's say, oh, this guy lost, let's say $40 because he can't attend his sick. Wouldn't there be, it'd be good if there's like a makeup system. So that they can like make up those, like get more involved in other stuff, like those.
Okay, we'll have to think about that. Maybe.
I just wanted to add on to what Adrian said. I think that maybe like one excused absence for a Senate meeting and one for a committee meeting, because, for example, marketing is on Thursday, and for example, if I do get sick on Wednesday, there's a high chance I wouldn't probably make the committee meeting on Thursday, so something like that.
Okay, so one excused absence for illness per Senate meeting and committee meeting.
And one each.
Recorder.
Yeah.
Would not count as an absence. Okay, we can consider that. Ian?
So yeah, maybe an option to at least join online, if like, it's not like the worst sickness, but we don't want to spread it. And the option to at least join online and still count that as like a meeting. I feel like maybe one or two like as
Well, that we already have rules about. I mean, as long as it's what's it called? As long as it complies with the Brown Act rules for participating online, I mean, that would count as attending anyway. You wouldn't even need an excused absence for that. You would be attending. You just need to let us know ahead of time, so we know to look for you online. So that wouldn't even count as an absence anyway. Yes.
So if I'm having a committee meeting, say, and if I'm sick, can I attend online and can I still like be a vote, consider a voting member on my committee?
Yeah, again, as long as it's complied with the Brown Act. I guess, I don't know if we went over that this year. It was they updated the Brown Act, or they passed an amendment last year, starting in January, that basically said you have to be in person again, with only very limited exceptions. So for Senate meetings and committee meetings, you know, we had to start meeting almost 100% in person again, starting last January, or well, this January. There are some exceptions, you know, related to illness and some other things like that. So again, as long as it's for one of those reasons, then yes, you know, you can attend online and would still.
With the scholarships distributed through like paychecks that.
It would be through the financial aid office, the way the rest of the scholarships are, and I believe those are checks, but.
Yeah, so it's like usually the month after you've done that, so would it be January 15th?
Well, no, it's not the same as like student employee paychecks. It's
So it's basically
as soon as financial aid scholarships get processed for the quarter, basically. Oh, yes, okay, great.
That one, maybe it would be better if we had 1 week of grace period, since there's still sharing governances and audit hours that we also have to do. And just putting it for just Senate meetings and committee meetings are probably not enough.
Okay, so we'll discuss exceptions for illnesses. This week, we don't want people to come onto campus if they're, you know, ill, so we'll talk about that and see what we come up with. Hanchu? We can't hear you. Oh. Hanchu, we couldn't hear you. Is there anything in chat? Oh, I have to rejoin. Okay. Like she got disconnected.
Burundi?
I just wanted to just make sure, clarify that if one of our senators do attend online, they still meet quorum, right, and everything?
I'll have to double check, but again, as long as it meets whatever those Brown Act requirements were, then yes, we will still meet more.
For Brown Act, would that involve posting the address of the?
No, that was one of the exceptions that was posted in January of this year, or that was added in January of this year. It is still technically temporary, because it does expire, I think, at the end of next year, if I remember right, but no, we don't have to do that. I mean, there are still people working on hopefully amending the Brown Act more permanently to be more in line with modern technology and everything else. But they have at least temporarily added that exemption.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Sometimes my Bluetooth on my card does it disconnects for whatever reason. I just wanted to touch on the questions about being sick and how that might impact your overall scholarship monies at the end of each quarter. So we totally get that we all get sick, okay? Like we get sick, but when you're sick, we really don't want you to be working because you really should be using that time to rest and to get better. So, you know, the idea behind the whole absence is that, you know, if you're not there, you know, we have to figure out a kind of a fair way of kind of measuring everybody's performance. And it is to deter people from using being sick as an excuse. So, but we know that people do get sick, and so we're sensitive to that. But it's also to deter people from using that as an excuse when they're really not sick. So when you are really sick, and of course, we don't want you coming on campus and exposing, you know, your virus to anybody else. But if you are truly sick, then you really shouldn't be working. You should be, you know, getting rest. Okay, but we'll certainly take that up and consider all these comments when Dennis and I have a chance to review with them. That's it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our last item is just some announcements and updates for elections. I think, do you want to announce them?
Hi, I mean, I was gonna announce that like sign up for the fall election info sessions, but it's pretty much filled now. So, but I just want to talk with Anna a bit more about like engagement with like specific like learning communities. What is there any progress on that?
So we spoke on Discord, right?
Mhm.
But you didn't tell me if you were going forward with that.
So, I was thinking. We talked about that during session, okay?
Okay, but yeah, just for this, the announcement I wanted to mention is that since we don't currently have an elections commissioner, we haven't really finished all of the marketing details for this. So typically we'll have like a short description plus the graphic for election impositions for both fall and winter that everyone should be promoting in your classes in any other places. So we will be getting that out soon, and then from that, all of you will be expected to do either class presentations or sending it out as announcements.
So we'll expect you to either sign up for the fall or winter elections sessions at least once, or do a class presentation at least once. And that's we're trying to like everyone at least like introduce about the Senate to more people so that we get, you know, more accessible with everyone. So that's just like FYI, something that we want to do. So Any questions?
Not a question, but we also want to increase outreach to certain groups, so we wanna, reach out to those different programs like Umoja and, LEAD and so on. See if maybe they have mailing lists or group meetings or such. And then we wanna, send out information to those lists and attend those meetings if, it is possible as well. And do a presentation about DSG and, getting more members from those communities.
Yeah, so for that, our committee is working on updating the resource system because through research fairs this time and like trial and error, we figured out that a lot of the point of contacts that we did have from previous SFF and EMD, they were outdated. So obviously because it's a new year and leadership changes all the time. So we are working as a committee to kind of update those and then also just for insight on what Isaac and I talked about was cabling at those specific resources and programs at DASG so that they could also potentially get more information about this and then also tell the students that are involved with those programs.
I don't think we have anything else to add, so I think we should be sending more information on that later, but we'll be moving on to public comments, so does anyone have a public comment? Adrian?
So you know how like at the beginning of the year, we talked about like, what does everyone need to feel like, safe and like comfortable in space? I think maybe we could do something like, if you are sick and you're here, could you just like ask the community for you to wear like a mask if you are on campus and you are ill, for the sake of public health works for everyone.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, if you do like are willing or feel well enough to come on campus when you're sick, like Adrian said, please remember to wear a mask in any of your meetings. And any interactions. So thank you for that. Are there any other public comments? Moving on to advisor announcements. Are there any advisor announcements?
Yeah, I have a couple. It's more a comment and then just to encourage folks to please come to HOCO, both the dance and the pregame and the football. Just, want to remind you, DSG, you guys provided $10,000 for this event. So my hope is that that you all show up if you can. I know I've already talked to some of you, you have conflicts, but if you don't have conflicts, the expectation is that you come. This is going to be, an inaugural event. This is about engaging with our students. So please, sign up, as Maritza said before. The link should be going around. You do have to RSVP. Just because you're part of Senate doesn't mean you automatically just get to walk in. So we do need a solid head count. And then connected to what Adrian just said about kind of community agreements. We're now almost near the end of our fall quarter. I know folks are starting to feel a bit tired and burnt out. And I'm just going to encourage you all to really just, take care of yourself, stay on top of your coursework. I know that many of you are applying for the UCs and the deadline's coming up. And so I can only imagine that you're losing some sleep over it, but this is around the time when people start to get stressed. So I just want to encourage you to stay healthy, keep afloat, reach out to us if you need any support. We don't want you to get burned out too quickly. Okay. That's it.
Dana, do you have any additional advisement?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Then
No, nothing additional.
moving on to Senate announcements. Does anyone have a Senate announcement? Okay, adding on to what Hanju said, for the rest of November, we will have a meeting on the 15th and the 22nd. And then for the 29th, we will not be having an agendized meeting, but we'll be working with programs on and the source for ADHD bonding at that time. So for the next 2 weeks, the agendas should also be very short for November. So just as a heads up for the rest of the month. And moving on to student trustee announcement.
Just that I will be here next Wednesday because I'll be traveling to the 2023 CCLC annual convention in Indian Wells with trustees Nguyen, Wong, and Costas, where we will be talking about our district accomplishments with other schools from across the state. So yeah, you guys have fun at Senate and Hoco. Yeah.
Now moving on to the introduction and approval of prospective senators. We are currently looking for a new DSG elections commissioner. So if there's anyone interested in running for this position, if you could please come up and put down your name and the number of meetings you attended. And also for this position to run, you have to be a current intern in the administration committee as well as attend 3 Senate meetings. I adjourned this meeting at 5:03 p.m.
Bye, everyone. Right, like the article, I was just talking to our I think. Right up.